and do the best you can. You start up and be a man. You're in the magic city with magic lights, oh magic moments, magical heights. This magic city, magic lights, magical moments, magical heights. All right. Whoa, whoa, la, hey, whoa, whoa, la. Only Rasta can liberate the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe for a minute that they are with you. Shall free the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe for a minute they don't like you. Why try to make I am happy? Really, I don't know. If it was up to them, my friend, we would never see the sun or the snow. Through that mystical communication within, we keep on coming together. I love to see brothers and sisters looking out for one another. That's the way it should be, not contrary. Stop tearing down each other. Only Rasta free the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe 1 minute that they are with you. Shall free the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe for a minute that they are with you. I also do. You just behaving like they want you to, yeah. I say arrogance is much different from ignorance, and I know you feel the same way too. Many live this life without having a clue. No reason why they are so sad and blue. Places to go, so much things to do. Not a moment to reflect on the cycle of life, yeah. To free the people over hills and valleys too.
It's away from Africa with the intention to steal our culture. The good for the boss by and say, come yourself, my little one. Come yourself, my children. Come yourself. Oh, my brother. Oh, while you're on island. Oh, me loving Africa. My interpretation, love. Loving Africa, loving America, loving Canada. Whoa. Every knee shall be. Every tongue shall take. Down in this valley, down in this valley, down in this valley of the West. Where is your love, Jamaica? Where is your love, Jamaica? Where is your love, Jamaica? I can see your love, I can see your love, trying to touch your love. I don't know about your love. Not them the way to love one another. What does that? Oh, Shall not enter. These are all along. The wax on a tree, master. Sipping from the cup of tea. Chant down a Babylon. Chant down Babylon. Chant down a Babylon. Chant down Babylon. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. The whole of man of creation.
Tenastilin, greetings, Eli. The atmosphere from radiating out of Kingston, St. Andrew, specifically out of the National Stadium. The atmosphere and the vibrations are penetrating the world because a serious event and a major event occurred over the last 2 days. An event that many have been waiting on. And the many have been so many that people don't realize that it's not Jamaica was really the many. The many really came from out of the globe. Because the construction of reggae music coming from its foundation, the drumming, the African retentions, and the influence of Rastafari maintains that this is the medium and this is the vehicle for transformation. And it is also the vehicle for the liberation of the consciousness. So here we have a man who has been incarcerated for a decade. When I say incarcerated now, there are those who will query the nature of the incarceration and the issues that are legalistic around the incarceration. But within the bigger plantation struggle, all black people are in incarceration. We're all incarcerated. Some to a greater degree than the others, because the plantation system still entails. But when the penal system captures you, it's a different type of incarceration. Because not only is your physical structure captured, but the brain has been localized and centralized and limited and captured. So it is within that dimension now the struggle for survival takes place, and the struggle to maintain consciousness. And a 10-year period in the belly of a white penal system is hell. Black man know that. It is hell on earth. So when a one go through that and come out, remember, a decade is not a little bit of time for an individual to be isolated from foundation and from community and from relations. Nelson Mandela was in there for 2.5 decades, going 3 decades. Black man been undergoing a whole heap of pressure, When you look across the globe historically, these penal systems set up in the Western world is there to crucify black people. And in this crucifixion now, whenever one and one resurrect themselves, you have to give that one whole heap of kudos. You have to give them ratings. Because to survive alone is skill. But to hold on to your philosophy, to hold on to your philosophy, and we're talking about Rastafari now. becomes a foundation in the mentality to survive. And so there is a great celebration by many who understand the bigger plantation struggle. There are those who are at the top who seem to have more critical, negative things to say about the case and the penal system and what was guilty and who must apologize to what and rah, rah, rah. But you see the people for the belly, this is the first time the National Stadium have been full beyond capacity. And there's no reggae boys. And it's no athletics. It's a culture manifesting through music and driven by Rastafari. Never ever being put to the front, It's always describing the thing without giving Rastafari the full credit. So, the Buju Banton concert is a milestone in the journey of Black people and the journey within the industry of music and the journey of reggae, because out in the industry for the last 10 years, it has been lacking. It has been lacking a sort of presence that we're not looking for any salvation or any savior. But the difference is that it may influence the youths who are on the up and coming to see two brethren embrace each other on the stage in such intensity that the youth, I'm going to call them kind of vibrations within film settings, B-man behavior. Because look how the man hook up. But this is beyond where the thing has been. It's an attempt to reconstruct and resurrect the consciousness that is supposed to be within the industry. So it's a serious event. It has been recorded globally. The most people ever to attend any event at the National Stadium, and it will never happen again. People trying to compare this to visits by other great ones. But this is a groundswell. This is coming out of the belly of the people. And it is red, green, and gold flag that decorate the place, right through and through. So there's no way you can avoid this presence, the presence of Rastafari, the presence of conscious, positive, transforming music. So it's not a matter anymore for move away now from the DB bad mind tune. And the tune will tell you about your dumpling and butter. And the tune will tell you about my thing bigger than your thing. The whole thing have to get itself together now, because the example is there. Now, people will criticize a man's private, personal life. But you see, if a man spend 10 years in prison and that man have 10, 15, 17 children and how many different mothers, there must be conflicts within that man return to the settings, because 10 years is a long time to be away from family and friends and loved ones. So all those who are trying to create these negative images will soon fade away, because how many of us could spend even 1 year in a prison in America under white supremacy, domination, and ideology? So it's not about making a hero out of a man, but it's recognizing the stamina and the outpouring of people's emotions, Black people, white people, yellow people, globally, because the music of Rastafari is a global sound. It has been used by all cultures. And perhaps the message is out now that we must reclaim it. We have to reclaim the culture and the music and recognize that it is central to the reconstruction of the Jamaican and the Black man's psyche. It is our power. It is that those who are in governance don't seem to connect. Because an event like that, like this, should not be held at a football stadium. They should be somewhere in the island that to hold 50,000 people for entertainment. Different issue. Hail up the Donovan Jermaine, Penthouse, and all those who are responsible for that event. Some minor hitches with the transportation system and the shuttle system. 2, 3, 4 cars were robbed, and 2 of them were in the wrong place. But it was nearly a perfect, organized, and conducted event. And the people who came from around the world felt that they were fully rewarded for whatever cost it was. And so this could be an example of how our economy could be driven if the powers that be put the infrastructure to hold these events here. So, yes, Bantan is out.
I never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. My roots I never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. I travel alone through the words of Jaja. One thing I know for sure. My roots I never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. My roots I never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. Europe I travel. England I travel. America I travel. I travel, my roots I'll never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. My roots I'll never forget. I always remember the road I traveled. How can I forget my roots?
They're the roots, the foundations. Buju Banton has made it clear that Jamaica, this land of slavery, is the foundation and is the root. And this is where he gets his inspiration from, and this is where the people demonstrate their true emotional responses that are what we call love for the artist, you know. So we have heroes in our spaces. There are heroes in religion, there are heroes in war, there are heroes in the movies, and there are heroes that are created in the entertainment industry. And within the entertainment industry now, rebel music, Rastafari music has been a cutting edge for the liberation of the conscious mind. And so we hope those who are writing songs now realizing you don't have to be doing slackness and saying all kind of things to get attention. Say the right things and you will attract the attention of minds that are searching. And people are searching. People are asking questions. People are wondering. And much like wondering now, I'll just segue into an event that has happened a couple of days ago. An event in New Zealand. And this event has seemed to create a little shock wave that has been traveling through the global mind. Yeah, the event that has occurred in New Zealand is what they call a mass shooting. Now, we here in Jamaica, we have been hearing about these things, but we always hear about these things in Europe and in North America. Like mass shootings are like a weekly thing in America. You just know, so by a couple of days gone, past the year, about 7 when dead over there, so, and then the next day past the year, so 12 dead. It's like that becoming norm. And I have to speak to the issue of whether there are some things called new norms being established. But to the point, the event that happened in New Zealand, they call it Down Under. It almost not a part of the world the way we are being conditioned to view the world here from Jamaica and the Caribbean, North America. We see North America easily and we see Europe, but we even see South America because of sports. But Australia and New Zealand, them say it's down under our foot bottom. And that is a very long journey to get there by airlines, whole heap of hours flying and thing, all right? So it's kind of remote. So when certain events happen in these kind of places now, it causes shock, particularly to the cultures and the societies that live in those areas. So we can get up tomorrow morning. Well, a few hours ago, there was a shooting on a train in Utrecht, which is in Germany. And a man just shoot 4 people and stab somebody. So that happened. And then week before, something is going on in Lisbon. So all over the European continent and North American states, we have these outbursts consistently. In New Zealand, of all the places now, where the atmosphere is supposed to be all about unity of in diversity and respect for cultures and various religious groups. Out of the white comes a man called Tarrant. And his brother here now is an Australian. And he goes into New Zealand and he goes back and forth and is a regular traveler. The document shows him travel all over Europe, all over countries that people consider to be fascists and have ideologies of racism. He has been to all these places. And his brother here now go into New Zealand and line up 2 mosques. And when him done lick shot and fire gun, is 50 people dead. And another dozen near dead. And more injured. No, this is outrageous. And the thing about it, every time these things happen, and by circumstance and accident, when there's a white shooter, they never usually dead in the shootout. They usually get taken alive. Maybe it's just by accident. But after all of this, what this virgin do, he was taken in alive, and was able to be taken to court and face him jury. But what is more interesting now, I want to show the item now. The virgin write a manifesto. And it shows that the brethren has been highly trained and organized and well prepared for the massacre that him carry out. The media now try to describe him as what them call a lone wolf, meaning say, he must get up by himself and just decide, say, something, I'm going to kill some Muslim. And he must fix up him car and them thing, he must draw it and blah, 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 boom. That is what the media is trying to project. But you see, when you begin to exercise your own intelligence and reading from different perspectives, you realize that this brethren is a representation of a larger force. And what is this force now? This force claims that there needs to be a race war. The force that this brethren represent suggests that Jews and Africans and people of melanin and pigmentation are aliens and foreigners, and they should leave Europe and America. Now, that sounds like it's a political issue. But I want to speak to the perspective now of the religious side. Because here we have people in a mosque. And these people in the mosque now, they are showing reverence to the God that they worship, the God that they call Allah. But within all of that, here comes a brother with a bag of guns and ammunition and just martyr down, mow down innocent Muslims at worship. Now, it caused a big thing, of course, but as black people now, we have to reflect on our own story. Because we have to remember now, we have been conditioned and socialized to believe that the church and the synagogue and the mosque are holy places. that these places are the sanctions and the home where the God and his people gather. Now, this event in New Zealand shouldn't shock black people, you know, because you see, within our own story now, we just have to reflect on our journey coming through North America. When the 6 little girls were bombed in the church in Alabama in the 1950s, or yeah, I think it was Selma, one of those places. Our little black girls were blown up, and it never became an issue. And we as black people continued to pray to the God that we were told to pray to, and that those little children were praying to, and we continue. So we see where some man rush a synagogue upstate New York and kill off some Jews. And you wonder now, how is it the Jews in their synagogue don't have any protection? And they have their God overlooking them. And then the mosque now is attacked. And the people in the mosque get killed. The island roof walks into the church and kill off the black people. I want them really ask themselves the question now, you know, this institution that they give us called church and mosque and synagogues, and the overarching power that's supposed to be observing events in these things. How could these things take place? On what basis now can we have any rational way of recognizing that it's all right? Because how can it be okay? Who at a higher level would sanction these types of killings? So in other words, now I say to the item now, we have to question this whole supreme thing that's supposed to be overlooking everybody. Because the Muslims are not being protected, and their supreme force is Allah. And the black people long time exposed and have been brutalized. The Jews are not protected in them synagogue. So where is this protection thing that we have been looking into? So maybe it's all an illusion. That protection comes from being self-armed. That protection comes from having your own defenses and resources in place. So I said to them, no, when we look at the airplane that went down in Ethiopia, 157 people vanish at an impact. What is the nature of these people? Are these people in a situation where they have a soul that now can be rescued? Is it that those who were on the plane who were Muslims, those people were praying to Allah to protect them in the plane? The plane had 30 different nationalities. And within the nationalities, you had those who were Christians, those who were Muslims, and those who were neither. And yet, everybody went down. So where is this, and what is this thing that we think is overarching and responsible for our security and our safety? I think we have to begin to think about taking up our own self-defense. We have to begin to stop relying on this protection from above and begin to defend ourselves right here and now in the practical. Thinking through. Metamorphosis.
In the hearts of every taking your chances, not knowing why you're to give love to receive no love is free. That emptiness it brings tears in your eyes. Tell me why you're doing this now out of time.
So the WhatsApp is up and running. And Kevin is in Tampa, Florida. Kevin say, all black men that lock up innocently, if they don't die in prison, they return 10 times stronger. You know, this is the prison's penal system in the plantation, America. Unfortunately, no, it's a place where enough time is there, the black man them actually wake up to them consciousness and become aware of a whole heap of things. And I am attributing that mainly to the fact that being incarcerated means there is no real freedom of movement per se. So if you stay in one place, you end up getting involved in reading. Because even Buju Banton now has a master's degree. Yeah, if him probably was out here, he wouldn't have that time and attitude to pursue that. And it is out here for everybody to pursue. But it's when him get locked down. And for 10 years, him going to be in one place. You better do something to keep yourself sane. And part of maintaining sanity is to study. And to read. Malcolm X, many more have gone before. And they have transformed themselves because of that pressure and stress. Where now them can't go on with them have to just hold them one spot. Even things like solitary confinement is a serious condition to put a man in. So it's unfortunate that enough of we have to, as black men, have to get locked down before we start realize how to galvanize the power of the brain and the mind power. Sometimes we spend too much time out here pursuing to have money. And having the money without the mind power, you will lose the money and the system will take you away. So, yeah, those go in, come out stronger. The majority get abused while they are there. And Buju Banton made it very clear during the concert that no guy within the 10 years they even come near for abusing. In other words, the same anus remains his. Yes, and certain things, because within that world, you know, sexism and racism and homosexuality and all those things now dominate that world, because there are no women there. And there are feelings that are sexual that run through man. These things happening where whole man get in one place, in the military and in the prison. And in those prisons worlds now is a whole different order. And I tell you, to hold on to your philosophy and your ideology is not a simple thing in a place like that. So within the metamorphosis now, I really want to speak to the thing that this shooter in New Zealand, what he has pointed out is his inspiration. He has made it clear enough that his inspiration to do this mass killing is determined and comes from the President of the United States. He says Trump inspire him because Trump is a new symbol of whiteness, of white identity. No, it's not Trump cause him to shoot the people, let me know. But it's the ideology, you know, and ideas motivate people. And it is individuals now who promote and spread ideas and ideologies. So to try to get a better understanding of what is it that is driving these type of behaviors and the argument, I want to open a little reasoning and a discussion on certain ideas and concepts. The first one is racism. Because in Jamaica, hardly anybody here grows up with any knowledge of what racism is. I know as a youth, I never know it until I got to live in North America when white people talk about them and you people, and you have to ask the question, what do you mean by you people? Because you think all people is one people. It's when you go to those places now you start realizing, no, something is different in the perception and the behavior. So we have to begin to, it's like, slow down a little bit. Or not, John?
Live and direct. You know what live and direct mean? Mean live and direct. So here, I want you all to do something for me, right? not what they're doing. They blame the Rastaman. They blame the Rastaman. It doesn't matter what the Rastaman say. They want to crucify him, Lord. Anyway, only Jah know. Only Jah know. Only Jah know. Only Jah know. No way. No way was it guilty, this Rastaman. No way. No way was it guilty, this Rastaman. Rock it. Forgive them, Jah, they know not what they're saying. They blame the Rastaman, oh how. They blame the Rastaman. Reading their books, looking at the cover.
I was watching the chanting in the background. So I want to say now about this idea that we have been hearing very often now in North America. We're hearing it more now since Trump has come to office. But it began to surface in the local mind, I think, more under the Obama administration. And I'm speaking about the thing called racism. As I say, as a youth, I never grew with that knowledge. I went to school, both primary and secondary, and never even did hear the word. Never heard the word racist, never heard the word racism. The word that I heard in Jamaica coming through was a term that them call class. And I knew it was somehow associated with money. Later on, I learned that it was also associated with education. And then when I went to school, them put me in a class. So you cannot get the notion of groupings. And you try and move from this class to the next class. Now it's getting to a struggle to move up in class. Maybe that's part of this, the subliminal programming. We hear people talk about them trying to move up. So class is an idea that was and is dominant in Jamaica. The idea of race is global, but in a space like Jamaica, at the time I'm talking about up to the 50s and so forth, the idea of race was never really a theme of discussion about anything. It was just there, and it was just there. Then there is what they call issues of gender. And in that gender struggle, they speak about sex and sexism. So we didn't hear it in Jamaica either, because we weren't at the point wherein the women were so outspoken and demanding, etc., etc. So what we really didn't know is what we call classism. And so people consider Jamaica was a classist society. And within the context of class now, you had these various levels of the class. You had the very lowest class, and you had the upper class. But then remember that these are imaginary structures, even though kind of people fit into it. So you had a thing called a middle class. So there's an upper, a middle, and a lower. But then between the middle and the upper, you have an upper middle class. And you start getting more and more stratification. And it's on that basis now, Jamaican plantation society sort of function. And people are encouraged to move up in class. And you do it by acquiring money and property, land, or you get education. So the people who are striving to be in the up class, middle class, usually are the people who are fairly educated. And they pursue jobs and they get employment and they keep the state going. Race is the driving force in a place like North America. in the United States and in Europe, and in the societies where the European and the white man is the dominant cultural force. He uses race as the motivating and the controlling force in that society. In Jamaica, as I said, they use the concept of class. But it does not mean race does not exist in Jamaica. But it does not mean it's not focused on because of, let us say, the size of the population, for example. Population is over 90%, 95% black people. It would be unwise for a small white group try to run the country on the basis of race up front. But they can't separate it because they have an ideology now that is what is called racism. But what is this ism? So the first thing I want them to do is have a definition and a clarity of what the word ism mean. Because as a youth now, Rasta, we tell us boy, Rasta man, they would know for my ism and schism, Yeah, man, Rasta man, I will tell you, we need to know ism. What is a ism? What is ISM? I want them look up that. Because one of the ways to understand what racism is first of all understanding what ism mean. Ism is a suffix. We're going into the language construction now. We want to get the better way to understand what this thing means because it is causing an international movement. It has created an international movement driven by racism. And it is the black people who are the victims now and are going to be at the beating end stick of this ideology. So some clarity will help. And then we can look around and see if these things exist in our Jamaican space, or is it just an American thing, or is it only where white people are? Does racism exist in Jamaica? So we get to the point wherein ism must be defined. ISM. And we can attach ism to root words. That's why we can have race ism. And that's why we can have sexism. And we can go into other aspects of life and talk about socialism. We can talk about within economics and politics, capitalism. Within religion, we can talk about Anglicanism, Catholicism. So ism is the term. I want them to just penetrate for a minute. It's 3 letters, ISM. And once we get an understanding of ism now, let us begin to see how does it apply now when we apply it to the concept of race. And there are those who are trying to insist that race don't exist. Yet racism is there. So say it's a double talk that. How can race not exist yet, but there is racism? What is race? But the first thing is ism. Check it. We're coming.
Many African children, Willie boy, living in a concrete situation. How Willie boy, African children are living in a concrete situation. African children, I wonder do they know where you're coming from? African children out there in a concrete situation. African children, I wonder do they know where you're coming from? The whole of the nation living in the environment, crying and applying their counsel for resistance. Every day, now that the tribulation so sad, now the environment so bad. I rise from freedom backyard for the children to play. African children are living in a concrete situation. African children, I wonder if they know where you're coming from. African children, living in a concrete situation. African children, wonder if they know where you're coming from. All of the nation are living in this tenement. 3 cars, stone wall, concrete, beautiful. children. I wonder do they know where you're coming from? African children living in a concrete situation. African children. I wonder do they know where you're coming from? African children.
Yeah, they say if you don't know, well, not what they say. I'm on saying that if you don't know where you're coming from, you just lost. Yeah. It's not a matter of say if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going, I don't really follow how that connect. I don't understand how those two verses connect. What connects to me is that if you don't know where you're coming from, you're lost. And not because you know where you are right now mean you're not lost, You can know where you are right now and you're still lost because you don't know where you're coming from. So, it's not just enough to know where you're coming from. You have to know where you're also going. Where are you going? What does your future look like? And that defines from now. So, we cannot confuse yourself. But we're still returning now to the concept of ism. People have enough time to look it up and get a little idea of what this thing called ism is. I'm going to say that from a long time, Rastaman used to say, we're born all isms. Because isms and schisms is what create a divide amongst the people. Now we have to go to the dictionary now to find out what this ism is and realize that it's a term, as I said, that's suffix that can be added to many, many words. Alcoholism, when you're overwhelmed by an abnormal condition that you result from excess, that becomes another ism. Now, in a definition, I give you a working definition for ism. A distinctive doctrine or cause or theory. An oppressive and especially discriminatory attitude or belief. Now, ism, watch it now. An oppressive and especially discriminatory attitude or belief forms the basis of an ism. Now, if you apply this definition now to race and try to get a clarity now of what really is racism, then you will see that it is an attitude that is oppressive and discriminative as it relates to race. So one group of persons have this attitude and this belief about race. And their attitude and belief is that the race that they are of is the superior race. So within racism, it's a struggle because it is one group imposing their beliefs and their doctrine on another group of people. Classism, one group of people doing the same thing, but them call themselves the same class. And within sexism, we see the same issue. So this brethren in New Zealand declare himself to be representing a doctrine that suggests that the white Caucasian race is superior. And on that basis of superiority, his inspiration of this ideology comes out of the White House in the United States. Because racism has become the new norm in American politics and way of life. And this ism is grounded in a set of beliefs that the black people are inferior, that the black people are invaders, and that they are aliens to the United States and alien to Europe, and that they should go back where them come from. And on that basis, a man takes up a gun and goes about killing and killing. And it's not just in New Zealand it manifests itself. It has been happening in North America. But the New Zealand case is shocking because this place is so isolated and removed from the mainstream. So when people talk about racism now, it is not just a set of beliefs only and attitudes. It's also something that is maintained through institutional frameworks. These beliefs now are manifested through institutions. And the institution that we really want to just glimpse into is religion, education, and politics. Because racism now surfaces everywhere. It surfaces everywhere within the Western plantation where there are power systems and power structures. So, classism is dominant and rampant in Jamaica. What the Jamaican people will find that as they achieve them economic and educational status and begin to rise in the class status, there's a certain ceiling. And when they reach that ceiling, them lick them head, they can't go any further because the further journey now is along the lines of race, where the real wealth is and the real money and the real owners of this plantation exist. So, black people now, we are being shocked by racism because the religious education we get tells us that God made us all and we are all created equal and this and that and that and that. But there are some shocks and the shocks are being exposed because the leadership in the White House has become the symbol, as this brethren in New Zealand say, the symbol of white identity. They're calling themselves by definition ethno-nationalists. So we better pay attention.
This is Styles FM.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low price promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar. For the best quality in sound reinforcement and backlining, Native Audio. We have professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, Native Audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native Audio. We make your events audible.
Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
Styles FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
Styles FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. Styles FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with Styles FM, visit www.stylesfm.com. or email info@stylesfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
Styles FM, the world listens.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399. Clifford Guest House, sponsor of MetaMorphOsis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Ditchfield Hill. They offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
They fall in those days. Yes. Now when they find can't even make to rest. Ooh, they must keep on living somehow. And some say they should be grateful for the things they have. Only them who feel hypnosis knows it right now in this time. How can they let this life go on? They're not satisfied with the life they're living. How can they let this life go on? You know that they're really not satisfied with the life they're living.
The word is ideology. The word is ideology. IDEOLOGY. Look up that along with the previous term that we asked you to look up. Ideology. This is what is the driving force, behind much of the behavior that we see in the world, political and otherwise. So what is your ideology? What is your political ideology? What is your religious ideology? What is your psychological? So ideology is a term that we need to become familiar with. And as I said to them now within this dispensation, everybody have a thing in them hand, them phone or something, and them kind of type in the word and the meaning jumps up. An ideology, a system of ideas and ideals, especially ones which form the basis of your economic and political theory and policy. An ideology. So if you over the term ideology now, I would think about a racist ideology. You begin to get a clearer picture of what is happening around us. Because racism is on the rise. Obviously, you hear it in the media. But what is a racist ideology? And it is this ideology that has driven this brethren and many more like him to commit these mass killings against people of pigmentation, people of melanin. And this racism is a very serious kind of virus, It is deadly. And the thing about it now is not just a white man thing, racism. It's a set of beliefs that one race holds within its view of another. So even within the Jamaican plantation society, the Chinese, don't view the black people then the great amount of respect. There is racism there. There's racism. And you see it in the behavior when you go into some of these, some of the enterprises, and you go downtown Kingston, and you see the attitude. Because they hold a belief along the lines of race that the black people generally are subhuman. That the black people generally are not civilized, not developed. They are still barbaric. They hold all of these beliefs and attitudes. And so it manifests it in their behavior. So racism is not something that is normal in Jamaica to speak about and observe. It's when you drop to North America and you realize in certain places you can't go just because you're black. And then you begin to realize that being black is coming like it's becoming a handicap. And you have to begin to question yourself and your own blackness. You don't do that here in Jamaica. Because you see people around you who look like you who are trying to escape that look. So, racism. And then you have the racist. The racist now is the individual within the system. And the individual now don't have to have any amount of personal power. If the society and the structure gives him that edge or the privilege automatically. In other words, now in America you have a thing called white privilege. And that is inbuilt into the system. And it is driven by racism. The ism suggests that the blacks there have no moral and legal rights. Therefore, anything can be done. So it's a matter of coming to a knowledge of what these isms are, and then how do we organize ourselves and counteract these isms. So race, again, is a major force. And when Marcus Garvey tried to speak about race in Jamaica, they run him out. Because it's a very emotional and volatile sphere of our existence, you know. It's a definitive part of our being, our race. You're born into the race. You're not something you adapt. You can't adapt the race that you're into. You're born into it. So racism becomes a force now used by European people to get advantages, take advantages, and it also subject people who are not European, not American, to conditions that are not fair. So you talk about justice and injustice. And within the system where racism is dominant, there's always injustice. So you have poor, uneducated Caucasian people. So they have no financial power, no educational power, but they are racist because they see the society around them gives them the advantage. So the poorest white will still feel superior to the black man with all of his money and property. Because it's psychological now. It's psychological. It's about belief and of the knowledge of your race. So when the black people continue to hold on to the belief that they are inferior, it feeds into the ism of racism. It feeds into it. And at a more fundamental level now, when a little white child sees the image of the white Jesus, it inspires that white child and feel divine and feel secure and feel okay inside. But when the black child sees the image of the white Jesus, him don't feel any great feeling, begin to feel insecure, begins to feel inferior. So the little white you, before even getting the information, the images around him give him the feeling of being superior. Him go to church and them say everybody looking up on the wall and see that Jesus, and them say the Son of God, that, and they look like him. He must feel good about himself. So it don't have to be spoken. It's in the environment. And so you wonder if the children born racist, but they're in a racist society. A society that promotes racism. And they tell black people now that they must not speak about racism, otherwise they are being racist. Well, one of the essential elements that make a racist is that that person is a part of the power system, part of the power structure. Because if you lack power, it's hard to demonstrate any racism. You can't demonstrate the isms of racism if you lack power. So ultimately, it is within the structure, it's within the institution. So we find it in religion. We get stories and images that project people who are evil as black. It's racism that. It is one race promoting themselves as superior and the other race as inferior. It's all over the education system. All of the heroes who discover for Europe are made heroes of black people. And the black people who fight for liberation for black people are turned into demons. So racism is real. And it's almost innate within certain environment because the children don't have to be told. The environment shows them that they're either in a superior position or they're in an inferior position. And the parents around now are critical whether they're going to feed into that or whether they're going to counteract that to allow the black child to have some sense of self-worth, or whether the child is going to lose that self-worth and begin to have an inferiority complex, and it gets more and more difficult. So racism is real. Classism is real. And in Jamaica, we have our own thing now that we call colorisms. Yes, colorisms. Another ism that comes to oppress and divide and separate. Yes, Rastaman say a long time, born all isms and schisms.
Come on, my love, for you be sure. Oh, yeah. Girl, if it's love you're looking for, come on, my love, for you be sure. You make the sweetest cake I know. Girl, come on and show me what you know. Your recipe, girl, is fine, 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 yeah. Don't you know, I really wanna make it mine. Your recipe, girl, is fine, 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 yeah. Don't you know, I really wanna make it mine. I really wanna make it mine, mine, mine. I really wanna make it mine, all mine. So you make the sweetest cake I know. Girl, come on and show me what you know. Whoa, whoa. Your recipe, girl, is fine, 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 yeah. Don't you know, I really wanna make it mine. Your recipe, girl, is fine, fine, fine. Don't you know, I really wanna make it mine. I really wanna
Yes, looking at the notion of race and racism and the whole meaning of the term ism, and what happens when we apply ism to things like class or sex or race. Yeah, the isms. And it takes us to understanding what an ideology is. Because it's not much different in terms of an ism. And an ideology is not different from the ism in terms of its definition. It's a collection, a set of beliefs or principles, especially on which a political system or a political party or a political organization is based. Now, these principles, these beliefs, when the ideology is racist, the set of beliefs are racist. And racist beliefs now relate to how one group of people view the other group along the lines of race. And in North America, the racist belief is that the white race and the Caucasian people are the superior. The Europeans took it to the earlier level within Hitler declaring that the Aryan race is the master race. That's where the whole thing really coming from within the Europeans, the white people. It is Hitler who break away from the rest of the European tribes and define the German Aryans as the supreme, the master race. And eventually he was kind of subdued, but the ideology of the white European as a master race never died. That ideology was shipped right across the Atlantic into America. And the Americans hold on to the ideology of being white supremacy. This is where the whole notion of being supreme as Caucasian people come from. So racism becomes natural to those who embrace the ideology of being a supremacist. So this brethren now again, who goes into New Zealand and do him thing amongst the Muslims, slaughter them mercilessly, and claiming that it is inspiration comes from the new symbol of white identity, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the glorification of Nazism and fascism as political systems. And there's an attempt to really bring this system into what is called the now. So black people now, when we observe what going on, we can't wait for the ABC and the NNC and them people ever tell we overthink, If we begin to do some of our own assessments, our own analysis, and realize that racism is almost inbuilt where these Europeans and Americans gather. They have their struggles of class amongst themselves now. Because white people have them class structure. If you go to a place like India, you see a whole class system that runs the whole place. It's called a caste. C-A-S-T-E, a caste system. And again, it's all about segregation and separating people and putting those who are higher and lower and separating people along the lines of economics and etc. So these are man-made institutions. So racism is something that is being practiced. It's a practice not just by white people, but wherever they are dominant, it becomes like the normal. It becomes normal. Prior to Trump in office, there was a serious rise up against Obama by the same white nationalist identity in America. The whites who felt offended that a former slave could be in the White House. Yeah, it was a total affront to the organizations in America that defend white ideology, racist ideology. How could this offspring of the descendant of a slave get into the White House? So it caused a whole heap of bellyache. And Trump represents the backlash. This is the backlash now to Obama. And so When black people thought that they were going to be celebrating a black man in the White House, a man whose hands were tied because the racist culture of America would never allow a president to cater to black people. That don't make any sense. But the symbols were there, particularly with the wife. And now that they are both gone, it's like the clan has returned with a venom. And what was once called polite society has now become crude. And racism that was usually covered has now become exposed. And black people have suddenly have to wake up to the fantasy of living amongst white people, and everything will be just so hunky-dory because of the love. There is no love in a racist ideology for black people, and there never will. It's about black people recognizing the political, economic conditions and transform some of that energy to inward development of your own psyche. Do like what our brothers who are incarcerated have to do, begin to study. Study science, study philosophy, study, make a transform yourself. Metamorphosis.
Oh no, you never let the music stop. I want just one more dance with you. So let the music play on and on, on and on and on. I said I feel vibrations. I wanna know, are you feeling the same way too? Oh, little woman, are you? It's so nice. I wanna feel the same thing twice. It's so nice. I wanna feel the same thing twice. Zion daughters, roots rocking to the roots reggae. Zion daughters, roots rocking to the roots reggae. I am a Zion daughter rocking in the dance tonight. We're doing it right. Wherever we go, we know that troubles will find us. Oh, because of what now, woman, and leave the worries behind you. Dance to the music, cause you know that it's right. Even though our culture, they will try to find. If they only knew how we feel when we dance to the music. One thing I know is they would love to feel it too. All right, the feeling is right. Tonight, the feeling's alright. So Mr. DJ, don't stop the music. I said we don't want no rain and we don't want no buzz. Morning time comes, we'll just get on that bus. No trouble, no fuss. I and I, Zion daughters, roots rocking to the roots reggae. Zion daughters, roots rocking to the roots reggae. Tonight, the feeling is fine. Tonight, the feeling's alright. Tonight, we're gonna dub it up.
Yeah, the reasoning, expanding, moving away from just simply looking at ism to how it is applied within the world of politics and economics and science. Ageism is an ism that is also destructive. And it relates, I think, more within the world of, it's easy to see in the world of sports. In a place like Jamaica, where when you get to a certain age, people think that certain things cannot be done again, and there's a set of beliefs that come together now when you reach a certain age. And in a Jamaica, no in particular, no, when an athlete or a sportsman gets into the middle 20s, yeah, people want to tell them same old, you know. Yeah, man, you're the whole guy now, you know, and you first retire, and low youth will come. So that same man in Jamaica, or that same sports person in Jamaica who we call him old, at the international level has just reached maturity. For example, a 25-year-old football player in the world just a reach man in the game, you know. Just a reach man. In Jamaica now, we saw call a player 25 old. And so you hard to find a 30-year-old playing football in Jamaica at any serious level, because we have this ism now where we're fighting against age. I see it reflected also in the West Indies cricket team years ago, where the society and the system almost force certain players to retire, though they are still functioning, because after a certain age them reach. And when they reach into other societies, those ages of players are still working and still playing. So it's the isms, we have to begin to examine all isms. Yeah, we can't just accept an ism just because it is put on us. So you're in the Roman Catholic, into the church, and them tell you about the Catholicism. Catholicism. It have its own set of beliefs and arguments to maintain and control. The Anglicans come with their ism, you know, and you realize it's a term. It's a term that is used out of the English language, and we have to know the language and what it really means when we go into these isms. There's also the attempt now to get Rastafari to be drafted up under ism. And you hear academic world talk about Rastafarianism. Rasta man, we don't know ism, you know. You know, no ism with no organized, you know, nobody come ism up Rasta. Because once you become an ism, you know, you say become a schism. Once there is an ism, there's a sort of oppression and a sort of intent on control and domination. So the language is critical. And racism is what Haile Selassie spoke about in the speech about the philosophy, which holds one race superior to the other. Until that philosophy is finally and permanently discredited, there will always be war. So racism is that philosophy. And white racism is what is really the cancer throughout this planet. That wherever these people go, they establish themselves among others as being the superior people. And what's essential, you know, that them can't do that unless them come with them Bible and them religion. There's no way they can establish any level of superiority unless they come with it through a philosophy and an argument. Because the evidence in the world and the monuments that are remnants of Greek civilization reflect Black people's culture. So you have to come with something else, and it has to be in the thought process. It has to be in the control of the thinking. So the ideology now that holds one race superior to the other has a foundation in religion. Yeah, that superiority of race is grounded in religion. And if you go into the mythologies of the religion that give us, for example, Christianity, there's a mythology about how man was created. And you right away you see that all kind of isms involved. Because in the first place, there is a demonstration of sexism. Because all of the other life forms are made with males and females. Birds, plants, animals, and yet the storytellers, when it comes to man, it's just a male alone. So there's a problem already. There's a problem already. Because there's an attitude that the male now is supposed to be superior. So the schism start already now, you know. The ism start already. Sexism start. And the what you call it, that male attitude begins because the story tells the man that him come first. And she come after now, she's second, and second is inferior to one. And the whole ideology of domination and oppression is planted right there. And before we go any further, you realize that children are born. But one is beginning to feel discrimination because prejudice surfaces. Because when one is offered the gift to the creator of God's force, it is rejected. So you begin to see the first signs of prejudice. Yeah, man, bias. And these things lead to confrontation and conflict. And if you follow the mythology, one brother kill the other. It's isms, you know. It's isms cause them thing there. It's isms. So within the mythology, them planting these isms. And ultimately you hear about races now. And then one race of people now is chosen over the other race. Racism. I and as black people now must begin to shake off them constructions, those isms, and begin to look through it and look at the reality of our lives. Because religion hold it, the politics of it is isms, and it's just for I and I to let go some of them ism there. Let go the class ism. Yeah, let go the race ism. And they talk about political identity. Well, within black man's struggle, the objective was that part of the political identity should involve some form of black nationalism. But that again creates a problem if you begin to attach ism to national, because that is part of the problem today, where we have a set of people calling themselves ethno-nationalism. They're defending ethno-nationalism, which is another way of saying white domination. We have to be nationalists. We have to be black nationalists. We have to be careful how we identify the things that we want to operate under. And maybe that's why Garvey kind of gets stuck with this ism that they create around Garvey and Garvey isms. We should just be speaking about the philosophy of Marcus Garvey more than talk about any isms. Isms lead to schisms. MetaMorphOsis.
Is the Lord and the fullness thereof now. Caveman is love, and they rewarded with violence. In these last days, lend ears to what I say. Man in his ignorant state, signed and sealed is our fate. Doctrines of the falling angel, no water. When you turn on flames of hellfire, I said doctrines of the falling angel, no water. When you turn on flames of hellfire, earth crisis, earth crisis, all this suffering, earth crisis. Earth rising, misguided people